First question, we'll just start out with Alan down there. How do you feel about consolidations of our governments?
Wow. Okay. At this point in time, as it was said in the Second Continental Congress, sometimes you let the people decide and sometimes you use your own ingenuity in that. As far as consolidation is concerned, if the people of Covington want consolidation, I'm for it. But if not, then I'm against it. It has failed the last 3 times that we have voted on consolidation. And so I would refer to the people in that particular instance. I do believe that you're talking about governmental consolidation as well as school merger. And but I would have to look at the consolidation plan personally and see if it is fair and equitable to all people that are concerned. And being a member of City Council, I would be concerned mostly about whether it's fair and equitable for the city of Covington. No, I don't know exactly how many drains go into the river, but I'm sure that there are several. And drainage is something that is not just a particular problem in District 1, it's all over the city, and we're at this present time still working on drainage solutions that we can work out with that. But like people say, the drain, the water comes from the mountains, comes from off of High Acres on Jackson Street. It comes from the mountains down. We've learned that, and we've learned a lot that we have had some drains that lead absolutely nowhere that were built many years ago. So we are in the process, Mr. Dressler and Public Works crew are in the process of working on that at present to see if we can solve these drainage problems. And of course, once we find out what the problem is, whether it's a stopped up drain or anything else, then we can work on that solution. And as Mary Ann said earlier, we do have ordinances in place now to keep grass. People have mowed grass and thrown them into the drains and in the leaves and things of that nature. They get stopped up, and that's part of the problem. So if we can eliminate that, that will be a good bit of it. But also, that's kind of in the floodplain down there at that area. And if the river does get up, I mean, it's been up in the playground. It's, I remember years ago, it was up, coming up on Main Street, as a matter of fact, and it was all part of the river. So if the river gets up, then there's no opportunity to, I mean, it's force of nature. So, but we are working on it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Al?
I have more than one. Infrastructure, of course, is always, and we are working at present on that. That's always something that we need to do, because you have to take care of your home, you have to take care of the city. It's just like a home, and you have to maintain it. Second would be safety, and that's what we're talking about. We talk about police, fire, and EMS. And third would be economic development. That's another that's up there. It's a 3-pronged animal. In order to get the jobs in here, you have to have a viable workforce, and that brings in education. And we have to educate the workforce so that we can fulfill these jobs. And of course, the third thing is housing. Once you get the jobs, you have the workforce, you must have housing for these people who are coming in for jobs, which also increases the population and in turn increases the revenue that you have. So these are the things that I think are very important: infrastructure, safety, and economic development. Yes, I just had a district meeting back in September. It's difficult sometimes when you have these meetings for people to get out, so we usually try to have it in the evening where they can attend these meetings. And as far as being transparent with it, I believe City Council now has been as transparent as we possibly can. It's on the Allegheny Journal, it's in the Virginian Review, and many of us, I believe Mr. Seibold and Mr. Crozier, and myself, and I don't know if Mary Ann's had one yet or not, but we do have these meetings, and this is a way that they can find out what's going on. And I think if we could urge people to come to city council meetings and to come to these district meetings, then I believe that there would be a lot more communication and people would be more understanding of what we are doing. But we are trying to publicize and get things out as to what is happening on city council.
What is your budgeting experience?
Well, I've had 5 years on council to work with the budget, and it's always been an interesting experience as to what we do. And of course, being certified as a school administrator, yes, I've had experience working with school budgets as well. But what is that all you're asking is just the experience of doing a budget? Or do you want me to go into explanation about revenues and expenditures? What is it that the question is actually asking there?
I can only tell you what's on the piece of paper.
Okay, well, what we're trying to do with the city budget is basically cover everything that we possibly can with all the departments, and to fund these as best we can. We tell them if we can't fund it, we don't fund it. We also fund the school system, and we have a fine school system. Our schools are fully accredited, have been for a few years, and that's great. And they're doing an excellent job over there with the schools. And Public Works is doing an excellent job. Parks and Recreation is doing an excellent job. All of our department heads and our city manager is doing a great job leading this attack. I mean, we on council, we don't actually run it and do it. That's the city manager and the department heads and all of the employees that are doing this in Covington, and they're doing a great job. We appropriate money when we're supposed to. Okay, I'm looking back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We have to work regionally as well as locally. Our local EDC, and I'm on the board of the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission, and I work with the Roanoke Partnership, and David is on the Economic Development. And so we are working hard and getting tips and to see what we can do about getting businesses, industries in. But the attraction for it, we already have a good school system that's attractive, but to make our community more attractive to business whenever they come in. He said something about population. If you were to bring in jobs as far as an industry is concerned, then you would have people moving into the community, but then again, you have to have housing. Okay, so maybe some type of medium or low-cost housing, a place for some of the homes that we have here already in the city can also be renovated and brought up to par. I mean, we have a lot of demolition that we have to do in the city, and some of them are homes that are sitting vacant, have been vacant, and they're about ready to fall in. So, you have to make that attractive, the housing attractive, and then of course working with our partners in our regional commission, our Roanoke Partnership, and our local development. Plus, we also have, with working with the county, we have a revenue sharing program right now. Plus, we also can work on tax abatement, which we passed, and we have that with them as well. And I think that's part of the things that make it attractive and could make it attractive if they realize that. Thank you.
Okay. Al?
Would you read that question to me one more time, please?
What is the city's biggest current financial concern?
Well, we have several, as Mary Ann said. Infrastructure, I would say bridges for safety on that. Working together with that, we have already done things at the landfill. We haven't closed the cell. We've had to open a new cell. That costs. We've had to do things at the water plant, and all of these things cost money. We do have to build a wastewater equalization basin over to cover wastewater. Now, these are current things that we're talking about. And then you have ongoing things, projects that we have that are going on at this particular time. But these are the things that we are looking at this point in time as being very, very important. And that's all part of our infrastructure as the beginning of that, with sidewalks, paving, and our bridges. We have a bridge over at Jackson Street, the rail bridge over there, which really needs to be, I think, replaced. And we're in the process of getting smart money for that from VDOT in order to be able to do what we can there. And we have a couple of other bridges that need some work, Hawthorne Street, so on and so forth. So these are very, very important things. I mean, it's nice to work on the population, but currently we have to work with what we have. So this is what the important things are. Thank you. Well, I'd love to get more people involved in government by getting them to attend city council meetings and, of course, district meetings. I think the most I've ever had at a district meeting is 3. And we would like to do this, but a lot of times if there's nothing that people are really interested in or they don't have anything to bring to the city, then they don't come. And if they would come, even if they have nothing of interest for them that the city is doing, at least to find out what we're doing completely as to the city as a whole and not just in one district. Because people want to be, I think, and Mr. Roberts had a pretty good idea there. Maybe once in a while we could have a tour of the districts and that type of thing. We have done that once, and where we went around to each district, but that was just city council. But I think, my meetings are always here at council chambers. It's a centrally located place, but I guess I could find another area or two that might be located and people would be more willing to come because it's easier for them to get there. And but I think it's a good idea. Thank you. Well, I think downtown revitalization is very, very important. I think making downtown attractive to attract business and entrepreneurship. We do have several vacant buildings which we could do. Of course, some of those are absentee property owners, but the ones that are here, I think if we touch up downtown, and we have, for instance, the first phase of the Maple Avenue project has been completed, and we have received, and that was put on delay for about 10 years. And so phase 2, I believe we received grant money for that, and it'll go from Locust to Main Street. And then phase 3 will go from Main Street all the way down to the river past the library. And there will be something uniform there. The city will be much more attractive if we can get some of the vacant buildings, even if we don't have anybody in there, to have a nice storefront out there and do something to attract it. Then I think that helps to attract business and entrepreneurship downtown, because right now everybody's kind of running out to Walmart and that area, but downtown is very, very important, and we have a lot of professionals downtown. So anytime that you can revitalize downtown, and we've done a fairly good amount with that so far, but you can always do more. What would I like to see the city in 4 years? You're looking at a wish list here. I'd like to see a thriving community. I'd like to see the downtown properties, the stores that have second floors in it. I'd like to have the second floors gutted and have apartments or lofts put in up there to create walking traffic. And I believe that would get some entrepreneurs and small businesses in. I'd like to see an industry or something with about 200 anyway to 300 jobs come in over and finish off the river and rail plant. I'd like to see something go in on the concrete slab over there that sits in between them. And actually, I'd like to see, I know Dawn Distributing has paper storage over in the old Lear building, but I'd like to see something go in the Lear building. I'd like to see something go in the old Helmwood building. It's in behind Food Line. I'd like to see something go in the Kroger building that is sitting over there. And I'd like to see something done with the Collins Hotel. And these are all things that I would like to see done in 4 years, but I know that that's not going to probably occur, but I think that possibly some of those could occur. And if we work hard as a community, work with our fellow regional and local partners, then perhaps we can accomplish this. And as a community, if we can get together as far as making the place look a little bit better, we have the Adopt a Street program, where if we could get people together to do that. It's a few years ago we got together and we painted the wall around Burton Field over there with a group of community people that became active. And if we can get a group of people together like that want to do something, maybe a project once a month, I think that would be good. That would attract things.
Okay. What are your feelings on city-owned real estate? And how do you intend to use that property?
Okay. Number one, there's a couple of things that the city owns that I wish we didn't own. But if you take a look at the Nettleton property as one over there, I'd like to see that developed. I'd like to see something go in over there, whether it's educational use or not. We've had a study to check on that, but the funds that it would have taken to have done that were prohibitive. It was many millions of dollars, $7 million, I believe. We do have some places that, if they're downtown, they're small enough. I mean, you're talking about a dog park, I think you'd have to pick an area that would be a good place for a dog park. I mean, you don't want to put it in the middle of Main Street. I mean, we do have some, but some green areas, perhaps. If we have some property that can do that. I mean, green areas are very, very popular in larger cities and things of this nature, and they're few and far between. We do have a lot of wonderful parks that the Parks and Recreation Department keeps up, and they are doing very, very well. But basically, if you have property in the city, and we do have property, we would like to see it developed into something that would give us an economic boost to help us. And I think that's basically the solution for anybody that would have property. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, yes, when I was trying to get my names on the ballot, I talked a lot to people in my district, and it's a very well gerrymandered district, I might put in. But the biggest concern in my district basically is drainage, is water drainage. I mean, it comes up in certain areas and in pools on the roads and in the yards, and of course you want to keep that drainage from going in and going into someone's basement. And like I said before, when we were talking about drainage, we have discovered a lot of things since Public Works has started looking at wastewater, basically because you run into some drains that go absolutely nowhere. They don't empty into things. And this is some of the things that we're working with in the city right now to replace our wastewater, so our sewer lines and our water lines. I mean, we have some in here that our engineers told us are over 70 years old. And, you know, whenever you run into that, you know, 70 years ago they were using Orangeburg and terracotta pipes, and those things are probably crush easy. And then we pulled up some water pipes that are 3-inch pipes about like this, and the amount of water that was going through it was about like this. Mr. Dressler brought one in. So these are the concerns basically that I've heard from my district, and yes, I'm willing to. I give them a card all the time. They have my phone number. If they want to use email, they can get to me that way. But, and of course, district meeting. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
No, you only just 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
See, it was recently brought to my attention that there is a disconnect among citizens of Covington and its leaders, and that election officials no longer go door to door.
Really? Well, I don't know. I mean, I have been going door to door back prior to June 15th, whenever we had to have our names in, petitions in with all of this. I mean, I was going door to door and talking to those people, and of course, even when it's not an election year, I still talk with people, but, you know, yes, not on a daily basis. But I do as much as I can, and the people in my district know that they can call me, because I will ride around the district, and if I see somebody out, of course, most of the time whenever I'm riding around there at work, I'm retired, so I don't have a regular daily job. But at any rate, I will see them, talk with them, and if they have a problem, they'll talk to me about that. I don't think there's a disconnect. I mean, a lot of times people can, if they would, if they have a problem and they can't get in touch with me, I would ask them to come to a city council meeting. I mean, but they have my phone number, they have my email address, and, you know, I don't know what else I can do, you know, because I can't go around all the time. But, you know, I have gone door to door, yes.
Well,
As Mary Ann said, yes, we do demolish homes. We put a certain amount in the budget every year for those particular homes, and they have to be condemned or in bad shape. The other way, of course, is by tax sale, and they have to go through the legal process in order to get to that, because a lot of properties are bought, you know, for a minimal amount of money. I don't know if it's $1 or not, but at any rate, they have done that, and they've been put up for sale. So these, and Mr. Zimmerman used to call this blight. And it goes not only with the houses that are condemned, I mean, and no one's living in these houses that I'm talking about. They're just there and they're ready to fall down. But it is expensive to demolish a home. A home isn't as expensive as some of the buildings. If we want to, for instance, demolish the Collins Hotel, it's going to be about $250,000. So we just don't have that right now. But there are things that can be done for it. And for homes, for instance, you want, he was talking about mowing the grass and things of that nature. Yes, once it gets so high and it is complained, the police department will go over there and they will mow the grass, and they will send the bill to the homeowner, property owner that's there. So all of this blight that we've tried to take in, that also includes junk cars, things of that nature. You might have someone that's parking 4 or 5 cars in your front yard. You know, well, that's kind of an eyesore, and I have seen places where they do that. So we take care of it as best we can within the legal limits, and we do what we can, and also budgetary limits.
okay, thank you.